Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of completing the WGU Computer Science degree. My name is Ryan, and in this video we'll be talking about the three courses that I've completed so far, which is Software Engineering, Scripting and Programming Applications, and Software 1. The first course that I want to talk about is Software Engineering, and this course is kind of unique in the sense that there is kind of some hurdles that you got to go through in order to pass it successfully. So I'll take you guys over to my monitor and showcase how I kind of went through this course. So if I look at this sort of course page, when you kind of begin this course, the first thing that you'll notice is that there is a lot of sort of material that gets presented in this course, and it could be very overwhelming to kind of understand what needs to get done to pass. So software engineering is a course where you need to complete a performance assessment. And the performance assessment is essentially a project document that you're writing, which is probably going to be 15 to 20 pages long, that detail how a hypothetical program would solve a client issue. If I were to look at the course material, this kind of takes us over to U-Certify. From personal experience, I've felt that the U-Certify material for this course, although it's very detailed and provides a lot of information about software engineering, it didn't exactly give me the tools necessary to pass the performance assessment. I honestly think that it's worth skimming through the U-Certify material and spending maybe about 2 to 3 days maximum just skimming through each chapter, but I wouldn't necessarily take notes or try and memorize the vocabulary. The best way to pass this course, from personal experience, is to essentially just go into the task and fill out the design template that they provide you. So they're going to have an introduction and all this sort of details about the task. What they do, which is really good in this sort of course, is that they give you a design template that they kind of pre-fill out already for you, and all you got to do is just fill it out. So this design template has everything already pre-filled out, and all that you got to do to sort of pass this class is write paragraphs in each of these subsections of what they want you to fill out. So in goals and objectives, I would write maybe 2 paragraphs providing the goals and objectives for the project and solution. And as I kind of scroll down, we kind of see that all you got to do is just fill this out, and then eventually it's pretty much like writing an essay for each section. Kind of halfway through it, you'll have to write you'll have to create a GUI to kind of give an example of what your project would look like. And then at the very bottom, you would have some sort of testing cases to kind of showcase testing how the buttons would work on your project, testing how maybe the login features of your project would work, testing how the database connection of your project would work, etc. Now, taking it a step back, it should be said that when I'm kind of writing the essay and writing the sort of paragraphs for each of these subsections, I would recommend keeping it high level, and I would recommend keeping it as closely tailored to the client requirements document as possible. They provide these 2 documents to you, one detailing all of the sort of client issues, and then one document detailing all of the client solutions. And it's very important that when you sort of come up with solutions to sort of solve all these client problems, that you kind of connect the 2 together. And it would mostly be a high level perspective of solving these client issues. We're not necessarily writing any code to pass this class. We're not necessarily programming a website or programming a piece of software to solve all these issues. We're just discussing what the software would actually do, not how it sort of functions. For the graphics user interface section of this course, I thought that the best website to create a hypothetical GUI is in draw.io. This is kind of a website where you can kind of create boxes, create buttons, create pictures, and kind of piece them all together to create a hypothetical sort of panel. And this is what I kind of envisioned how a website would look like and how like the widgets would work. And if I wanted to sort of visualize a workflow for the website, I could kind of just look at this workflow over here, which I created, and that's how the sort of flow of the website would work, going from left to right. So that course was software engineering. It took me about 10 days to complete. I think the best approach for software engineering is to just have both the client requirements document and the design template open side by side together, and then just kind of going through each section of the essay. And that is software engineering. The next course that I completed after software engineering was scripting and programming applications. And scripting and programming applications is a really interesting course because that course is completed in C++. And C++ is a very nitty-gritty programming language that has a lot of quirks and a lot of sort of lower level memory management. It becomes quite easy to make a bug and have to spend maybe about like 30 minutes to an hour trying to figure out why something isn't working. I was unfortunate enough to have one bug that I spent 3 days trying to debug for this class. I even created a Stack Overflow question for the bug. So I'll take you guys over to my monitor again, and we'll talk about scripting and programming applications. So this class is, as I kind of mentioned before, it is a C++ class, and it is also a performance assessment class where you just need to write a program that'll sort of meet their requirements. The most important thing going into this class is having the right programming foundations before actually beginning the performance assessment. So unlike software engineering, where we could kind of skim through the course material, this class I would strongly recommend spending some time with the zyBooks material to get really comfortable in understanding how each section works, such as loops, arrays, branches, assignments, classes. All of these things will come up when you're sort of writing a program. The best way to kind of go through this zyBooks material is to not necessarily take notes. It's not necessarily a good idea to take notes for this class because very quickly the logic for understanding how this stuff works will become very overwhelming quickly. And notes are good for such as vocab memorization or understanding higher level specifics, but because we are working with lower level logic, the best approach to this class is to actually copy and paste the zyBooks code that they provide you over here, for instance, and sort of run that yourself and watch how they actually watch how the program executes or something like this. So we'll see here in this document that it contains all of the zyBooks code that gets displayed from various chapters, and I kind of just pasted it in here and I would run it just to see how it would work. And if I ran it enough times and I kind of watched the logic and I watched how the sort of variables moved around, I would eventually soon understand the logistics of how strings would work, arrays would work, functions would work, classes and running object parameters, all that stuff, just because I have all these different test cases. The best way I thought I could sort of organize it would be to just copy and paste the zyBooks code to its own function and then kind of leaving a comment on what that function is testing. So if I wanted to understand how a C++ while loop would work, I would just have it in test case and the test case over here, and if I wanted to just test it and run it, I would just uncomment it and then click the run button, and eventually what I would see is a while loop being ran, which is creating that sort of diagram. And if I wanted to understand how how function overloading would work, I would just uncomment another test case down over here, and I would run it in Visual Studio, and I would be able to see this code execute. I think that this is a really cool way to organize all of the C++ material, because when I'm writing my program, it could be intimidating to kind of memorize how functions and while loops and variable declarations would work. But if I have all of this sort of Zybook's code copied and pasted into a sort of Visual Studio programming sheet, all I would have to do is just look it up in the Visual Studio code and see that it works. So I have to say that that this method that I use is very helpful. The last part of this video, and the most recent course that I've completed, is the Software 1 course. For this class, I will take it over to my monitor one last time and show how I was able to pass this class. So if I go to my degree plan and I open up Software 1, I kind of passed this class, I think 2 days ago. I spent maybe about 10 days working on it. So first things first is that when you begin this class, it is a performance assessment, and you are writing code in Java to kind of pass the different sort of tasks, the different sort of problems that they want you to solve. This class is programming in Java, so we're going to want to have the right Java foundations before we actually begin the performance assessment. So if I go into the sort of course material, kind of the same thing as I did with the C++ class. All I did was go through each one of these chapters and copy and paste the code from these chapters into NetBeans. And then from NetBeans, I would then run the code and see how the code worked. The performance assessment that they want you to do is that this class requires you to build a GUI software that'll be able to run almost like a warehouse database. The GUI mockup is kind of included below, and it has all these different sort of screens and elements, a lot of different features and buttons. If I open up NetBeans and I kind of showcase my Java code, kind of the same thing I did with C++. I kind of just copied and pasted all of the Zybook's code into their own function, and I kind of commented what each function showcases. So some functions talk about how to do global variables, other functions talk about how to set objects and references. So I just copied and pasted all of Zybook's code and put them into their own function. And then at the bottom, very similar to C++, I just had all these test cases. Upon sort of understanding the Zybook's code, I then wrote some code for WGU, and if I were to kind of run my project here, I would get this inventory management system, which is what they kind of want you to create. We have parts and products, and if you were to click on this add button, you'd be able to have the ID already pre-filled out, and you can enter parts and sort of information on the parts. So let's say we wanted a car body. We have 10 of them in the inventory. Each one costs $50,000. Let's say we want max 50, min 0, and machine ID 99. If you were to sort of click on save and close this, you would then kind of see that part that we created loaded into this table up here. And we could do that one more time and create maybe like an engine. But let's say we want this engine to be outsourced. If we kind of click on these radio buttons on the top, this value over here below changes. And let's say we have 20 engines. This is $20,000 an engine, max 80, 0, and the fields are kind of smart. If I were to click on save, we would have to make sure that we have all the parameters filled out. Otherwise, this can't actually create the object be loaded. So let's say company name is engine company, and click on save. And if we would close this again, we would be able to see this loaded in this table over here. If I were to click on search, and maybe I want to search a part, I could search by the part ID, or I could search by the part name, which is car body, engine, and it would appear right there. Additionally, not only should I be able to add a part, but I should be able to click on any of these parts and be able to modify them. And I should be able to update how these would sort of get updated. So Detroit company, hopefully I spelled that correctly. And if I were to click on modify again, I would be able to see all the fields preloaded. So this is how the part functionality works, and it's quite difficult to actually get this set up correctly, but once it gets set up, it works pretty well. Now the products part of this section is you got to be able to add products. Let's say I wanted to create a car. Let's say I wanted 20 in the inventory. Let's say the price is 100,000, and we have max 45 and min 0. I would say that a car would be made up of a car body and a car engine, and I would be able to add these two to the product. If I were to click on save, I would now have a product called a car, and if I open this up, all of these are preloaded. If I were to kind of remove some parts from the product, open it again, I should be able to see that it's gone. So this is essentially the entire program of what they want you to do. And at the very end of it, they want you to be able to also be able to delete these parts and delete products, and then there's the entire program. So that was software 1. I think the best approach to solving the sort of problems that they give you in software 1 is to take a look at some of the instructor videos that they provide. Take a look at some of the YouTube videos that they talk about in the course chatter. I kind of use a mixture of everything to give me the right foundations to create the proper Java code to solve this class. And that's pretty much all those 3 classes that I've completed. It was a lot of programming and a lot of focus and a lot of concentration. I have to basically program about a good 4 to 5 hours every single day, if I can kind of squeeze that in. And on the weekends, I would program for about maybe 12 to 13 hours solid. Obviously, with breaks, of course, but I would program a lot on the weekends. It would be kind of easy to spend a good solid month on even one of these courses, but if you kind of just keep on programming and keep on hacking away at all the sort of problems that they give you, eventually you will have a fully working software that will meet their expectations and that will get you passed through the class on time. So I am pretty tired right now. It is about 10 p.m. and I have been doing a lot of programming, so I am obviously making progress through my WGU courses, but I do have to say that that as I get closer and closer to the finish line of completing all the WGU classes, it does get quite difficult on these programming courses to complete them in a timely manner. But eventually we will get there and we will get all the courses complete in our term. So I do thank you guys for watching these videos. We are almost done with WGU, and when I do complete WGU, I will start preparing for my master's program, which is beginning very early in January, so I just want to get WGU completed on time. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the summer because it is getting colder each day, and I'll see you guys on my next video.